mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about episode 2. Actually, it's called Act 2 of the Netflix docuseries Jeen-Yuhs, entitled Purpose. So, episode 1, I'm trying to call it what they call it, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, whatever. But Act 1 was titled Vision because we saw how Kanye was driven by his vision. In this episode, it's called Purpose because now we see how his purpose drives him. He's so set on his destiny. Like he's destined to be great. It was God's plan, and this is his purpose, was to get out here and get his message out. And man, like, after watching this episode, you gotta feel like you can move mountains, man, because this dude he did so much on his own. And it's crazy to watch because we know how he ended up, but it's interesting to see how he got there. And not just, you hear all the time about rappers' struggles or artist struggles, period, to become famous or to become wealthy or to become successful, whatever that may be. We hear all the time these stories about what they had to deal with. But to see it, especially for somebody who already had the traction, right? This is a guy who already had done platinum hits, platinum albums as a producer for big time artists. And you would think that this guy would have he's already got his foot in the door. Like, why would he have to struggle? Why would he have to hustle after doing all that to get his chance to just do his own thing? And man, I gotta tell you, Dame Dash is a guy who I feel like when we look back on hip hop history, Dame Dash is gonna be looked at as one of the most important people. But I feel like he's gonna be looked at as one of the biggest fucking assholes of all time. Again, he comes off like a complete fucking dick in this episode. And it seems like he's just taking advantage of Kanye. He's a good producer. He's done all these hits. Yeah, keep making beats. But as soon as Kanye wants to do something with hip hop, he wants to rap, he wants to do his own thing, he wants to branch out, it's like Dame doesn't even have time to listen to him. He's like playing music, rapping verses, and it seems like Dame Dash all the time sitting there on his two-way and shit, looking at his, not paying attention to people. And to see him doing that and to know what Kanye ended up being, who Kanye ended up being, it just feels like it just reflects poorly on Dame. Like, you had somebody like this, and you, for no really good discernible reason, held him back until he forced you to play your hand. He forced you to do something just from sheer determination, revolving around his belief in his purpose. And it's really inspirational. Well, for me, from a different perspective, right? Because I don't have any fucking talent, so it doesn't affect me in that way. But when you're somebody who wants to enjoy life, and you don't want to be stuck, behind a computer or in a warehouse or doing anything 9-to-5 kind of job that you don't want to do, and you have dreams and you I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that. To watch this guy go through what he went through, have the success that he had as a producer, and still have his own people stepping on his neck while he's trying to just branch out. It's really incredible the way Kanye kind of forced his way in, and we see that in this episode. So I want to start with talking about the Through the Wire video and all that. I think any of us who are fans of Kanye West, or who were fans of Kanye West, because I certainly understand how it's a lot more difficult to be a fan of Kanye West today. But back then, in that 2003 to 2010 kind of range, everybody was a Kanye West fan, and rightfully so. His music was fucking incredible, and he kind of kept the crazy shit to a minimum. And I'm watching the episode, and the best parts of this episode to me are seeing him kind of create these hits, watching these great songs, these legendary songs kind of germinate and become what they eventually became. Like, there's a great scene with who was it? Oh shit, I'm trying to look at my notes to see. When he's in Jamie Foxx's home studio and they're working on slow jams, and he's spitting the verses. They're just kind of working on it. You see Jamie Foxx in the booth trying to work on the vocals, and Kanye kind of coaching him through it. Hey, can we make it sound like this? Can we do that? And to just kind of see the beginnings of a song like that became such a huge hit, and to see how it started from just kind of like ideas and suggestions, and not watching it grow, but knowing that it grow to be something so polished, and on an album that was a Grammy-winning album. It was really wild to see that kind of stuff. And then the other one was was when he's with Pharrell, and he's like with Pharrell. He spits the Through the Wire verse for him, and Pharrell's reaction is just insane. And it's such a good verse. It's such a good moment. And what makes it already, these are like my favorite moments in the episode. But then what makes it even better is I went back and watched the Through the Wire video after I was done with this episode. And now you see, like, you know, the Through the Wire video at the time, if you haven't seen it, it doesn't really have any current footage of Kanye West. Like, you know, most videos nowadays is just, you know, the rapper rapping into the camera. You know, you got your video girls or whatever you got going on. But Kanye's Through the Wire video is all like footage from this documentary and from various other places. And you watching the video and you see all these moments, but you don't have context to it. So when you see this episode and you see all these moments that ended up in the video, but now you see what was happening, right? Because in the video, you see them visually, but you're hearing the song. So you don't know what these moments represent. And they show the fucking Pharrell moment in the video. And now I look at that video completely differently, because now I saw that actual moment of him, you know, spitting this for Pharrell, and Pharrell's reaction and the stuff that Pharrell said to him afterward. It was such a cool portion of this episode. It's probably my favorite portion so far in these two episodes, was that part with Jamie Foxx and the part with Pharrell, because it was so cool to see that stuff kind of germinate and to know what it became, and then later afterward to watch the video again and look like, man, like now I know what all this means. Like I know why they did it. I know what these people were saying in this moment. I know why they were saying it. I know why they were reacting. It was some incredible stuff to watch, man. So I'm watching this thing and I'm just like, man, this is fucking incredible. Let's see what else I want to talk about. So I mentioned Dame not doing anything to help and all that. And Ye got signed at, I believe, at the end of the first episode. So I'm thinking like, okay, everything's going to be smooth. And now they're like not giving him a budget for his album, not giving him a release date for his album. And he's got to do all this on his own. He's like bumming studio time off of other rappers. Like I said, there's the moment with Jamie Foxx was at Jamie Foxx's studio. He kind of just, the Pharrell moment was him just like, I think he was in the studio with like Ludacris, and he's going down the hall and it's like Pharrell is in there, and I feel like he just randomly went in. And he takes these opportunities, you know, he gets in front of people, he takes these opportunities, he plays his music. He always raps it himself, which I think is really cool too, rather than just playing it. I think it helps translate that feeling and that vibe and that energy and that passion that Kanye has. I think it wouldn't have hit the same if he goes to Pharrell's studio and they're chopping it up and he starts playing the song. Like, I feel like Pharrell would have liked the song, but to have Kanye rap it like that in front of him, I think that really helped set it off. So it's interesting to me to see how difficult it was for Kanye to get an opportunity to do this. So the video for Through the Wire comes out, which he had to pay for all on his own because Roc-A-Fella and Dame wasn't doing shit, and it kind of forced Dame's hand. Like after that video came out, it gets popping. Now Dame's got to fucking open up that budget to finish the album. He's got to give it a release date. All this kind of shit. It just opened up. But Kanye did all that by himself, and not by himself because that kind of shortchanges the people who helped him. But for the most part, he facilitated all these meetings and all these moments that helped him get the opportunity to make this album and make these singles. And it was some wild shit to watch, man. So, like I said, his determination, I think, is what was the most interesting aspect of this episode. Like, watching him just force his way in, like I've talked about. And I think the most telling example of that in this episode, and they don't speak it directly, but I picked up on this just watching it, is the fact that, for me, if I were Kanye, after his accident, which happens at the beginning of this episode, and by the way, we don't get any, like, new footage of anything like that, but, you know, after the accident, you would think after all the shit he'd been through in the first episode, he gets signed and then he gets in the car accident. Most people would be like, fuck it, I give up. Or like, there's no way I can get through this. There's nothing I can do, whatever. And then ironically, after he does all this work to get the Through the Wire video out and record it, which he recorded with his jaw wire shut, it's ironic that the thing that he probably would have thought was going to be the end of him is what actually ended up propelling him. And if you have a guy like Kanye West who believes so much in purpose, like the name of this episode, you're not going to let the car accident stop you, because you're going to think like, okay, it doesn't matter. It's just like how he took the rejection in the first episode and kept moving. It doesn't matter that my jaw got broke. It'll heal up, and I'm going to get this money. I'm going to make these records. I'm going to make this album. I'm going to get my message out. And I just think it's interesting that something that would have stopped most people actually ended up being what made his career. Because without that Through the Wire, without forcing Dame's hand like that, maybe he doesn't become who he became. So like, I thought that was such a cool moment. And like I said, they don't say that directly, but like, that's something that I just picked up on just from watching the episode. So again, I love this episode. Like I said, these two acts have been wildly inspirational to me. I wish it was something that I could do. Like talented people will watch this and be like, man, I'm going to get in the studio. I'm going to make some art. I'm going to do all this kind of shit, right? And I'm just sitting here like, man, that's wild inspirational. Too bad I can't do shit with it. I'm going to go in front of this camera and talk about it, but not too much I can go out here and create based on that. I mean, yes, technically I'm creating this video, but this ain't no fucking college dropout. This is just me talking about this episode of television. But before I wrap up, I had a couple of moments that I wanted to talk about real quick from this episode that, again, I thought were really, really good. And I'd say one of them is on par with the Pharrell and Jamie Foxx moment. Actually, it's probably better. And then the other one is just like a really cool quote that Kanye did toward the end of the episode. That I was just like, I heard that and I was like, man, that wraps it up. They could have ended the episode on that quote. So there's a moment where they're recording "Never Let Me Down," and Jay Ivy, the poet who's from Chicago, who we've seen throughout these two acts, is recording the spoken word part of that song, which I never knew that was him. Like, I didn't see it and go, oh, that's Jay Ivy. That's the guy that did the spoken word part. I didn't know that. I just knew there was somebody who did a spoken word part. But they showed him recording that in the studio. Man, fucking chills, man. Like, it was so good, man. His energy, his passion. He was so fired up. I mean, it sounds just like it sounded on the song. Like, I feel like that was like one take. Like, what we saw in the documentary is the exact same version that ended up on the album. Like, they didn't do this over and over. He just came in and just fucking killed it. And watching him do that, man, like I said, chills, man. It was incredibly powerful. And the other thing is a quote that he was asked. He was asked at the Grammys, and he said, like, would you have believed it if somebody had told you you'd be here at the Grammys, nominated for 10 Grammys? And Kanye said, nah, I tried to tell people and they didn't believe me. I said, you can end the episode right there, man. Like, that's a cold ass quote. So yeah, man, I'm really enjoying this documentary. It looks like this third act is probably going to focus on a lot of the things that started to turn people against Kanye. So, I mean, am I going to get up in front of here and be like, the third episode was great? Who knows? Probably, because I'm not here for the content in the sense of like, if it's content that I like, him doing good things, I'm going to be like, oh, it's a good episode. And if it's him doing bad things, I'm going to say it's a bad episode. My brain operates on a little bit higher of a level than that. I just want to get some insight, see some interesting things, and get some takeaways about who he is. And I think that what I mentioned in the video for Act 1, we're probably going to see it play in Act 3, because, like, you know, a lot of this stuff that happened that he did or said that a lot of people didn't like was after his mother died. So if this act contains, you know, that and a lot of things that happened afterward, it could still be kind of interesting. And it'll definitely be interesting, but it could feed into my suspicion that he got a little bit more carried away after his mom died because he didn't have that person to center him. So really looking forward to Act 3, and I will see you guys next week for that one. Peace.